And with emerging technologies like blockchain and Internet of Things and artificial intelligence and machine learning, the attacks are going to be much more sophisticated.
Welcome to the CNL Podcast, where we dive into the deep minds of IT and cybersecurity professionals to uncover their experiences, challenges, and best practices in today's ever-evolving tech landscape. I'm your host, Cedric Lusant, and today I'm thrilled to welcome Murthy Mantha, Chief Technology Officer at Sentient Solution. Thanks for joining us, Murthy. How you doing?
To be here, and I love to have this conversation.
That's good. Well, I've got an action-packed agenda for us today. To start off with, can you tell us a little bit more about your background and how you got started in the world of IT and security?
Certainly. I started into technology career by accident. I did a project on mainframes, and that's how I got introduced into technology when I was doing my post-graduation. Then I was taken into a job which is kind of a programming in mainframes. And that's how the technology journey has started 30 years back. And it is still continuing. And every day I'm learning.
And that's good. That's good. And that's what I tell people anytime they're getting into this field. You have to have that willingness and eagerness to learn. Because otherwise you're gonna get burnt out. You're not gonna be able to keep
Absolutely.
up. Because everything's always changing. What was good yesterday might not be good today. So you gotta stay stay
Absolutely.
stay up
That's
to
right.
date.
Right.
Was there a specific event or inspiration that pushed you towards this field?
Not inspirational. One is, I would say, the love for technology. I love technology a lot, and that is the reason why I have switched my career from a mechanical engineering background into a technology background. And especially the new things that are happening, and every day it is changing. Sometimes it is overwhelming, but for me, it is a really a very, very interesting time to be there in the technology space. And that is the reason, I just continue to be in this domain.
Yeah, I think that's kind of was a little similar. I could resonate with that because at first I had a different major, criminal justice, and then I saw the opportunities
Okay.
in the space. I saw everything that was developing 11 years ago. I said, yeah, I want to work in security. Let's go there. Now, were there any? Let's talk a little bit more about any challenges that you faced when breaking into cybersecurity or climbing the ladder in the field?
It was easy, and it was always, as I said, it was always a learning. Every day was a learning. And more so in technology space and cybersecurity, because the cybersecurity threats are increasing, the landscape is continuously evolving, and the challenges are more and more. And every day it is new challenges. And being a person responsible for cybersecurity, always we need to understand what is happening outside the world and inside, and make sure that the organizational information and the systems are safe and secured. So this is always a continuous challenge. And of course, one incident I can say that it was a very bad experience in a way that there was an attack on ransomware, and some of the information was locked, and we had either two options: either we pay to that cyber criminal and get our data back, or just erase everything and rebuild
Start start
and
over.
try to salvage the data from backups. And obviously, we have gone for the second option. But that has taught us a good lesson that we need to be completely, aware what is happening in the outside world, and make sure that we are proactively defending ourselves against these kind of attacks.
And it's funny, I want to kind of dig into that a little bit because I always like to get professionals' take on whether ransomware payments should be outlawed completely or not. You said you were opted to go the little bit more challenging route, which is the route that I tend to agree with because once you pay, it just makes you ripe for them to come back and they share with all their friends that hey, this person is willing to pay if you get them. So, and then now you just open up the floodgates. So, what's your take on that?
Yeah, very true. It is like you are motivating and incentivizing the person who has actually blackmailed you and who has put you at ransom. That is something, a behavior we definitely want to discourage and completely stop. And second is these guys ask for the ransom in bitcoins. So you can't even trace, and you are basically motivating them to attack us again and again. Instead, spend all that money and time and effort in making the things robust.
Yep. Yep. I can definitely resonate with that. So let's talk a little bit more about like what does your day to day look like for your current role?
My day to day is primarily looking at, I take care of two things. One is on the software development, which is basically using artificial intelligence and machine learning. We are automating the financial statements audit process. And the second part of my responsibility is cybersecurity,
Mhm.
and wherein which we basically ensure that our systems are very robust, our processes are good, our incident response is robust and up to date, and our cyber intelligence is always understanding what is happening inside as well as outside. And we have our periodic vulnerability test done for all the systems that are external facing. And also we have our own internal audits as well as external audits done properly, and we see that there will be no deviations and non-compliance.
Mhm.
And also we have a continuous and also very robust user training. And I would say this entire spectrum of things that we do, user is the most critical and important, and user understanding and user championing our cause of cyber security and information security is most important. So we devised a very robust and effective user training. And
Mhm.
also we have a incident response plan where we have, if there is an incident, there is an effective and immediate reaction to it and ensure that the damage is contained. And also the procedure that after the incident, what is that we need to do. Obviously, if
Mhm.
there is a noteworthy security incident happened in the organization, it means that multiple places the systems have failed. It is not
Mhm.
one single place. So there is a huge requirement to do a root cause analysis, ensure that the systems, process, and user training, everything is updated and made it effective. So this all these things basically falls on my preview and my responsibility to ensure that organization is information is very secured.
Okay, fair enough. So making sure you're taking that defense in depth approach. What are some of the, I see how you're combating some of these threats in the that you face in the industry, but what do you see as the biggest threat that you're seeing right now in your industry? Is it ransomware?
There are multiple things when we need to talk about cyber threats. It could be as
Mhm.
simple as phishing.
Mhm.
Phishing is primarily somebody gets faked to reveal important information to the attacker, and the attacker takes it and exploits it. And it is very simple and very prevalent, and it happens in every organization. Or it could be, a very brutal thing like ransomware.
Mhm.
Somebody gets a link and it looks very normal, someone clicks on it, and then the ransomware spreads, and it encrypts the entire data, and the attacker will be asking you to pay to unblock it. It could be other kind of things like there are many such attacks happening. These are all some of the attacks, but the list is increasing, and also the attacks are becoming more and more sophisticated. And with emerging technologies like blockchain and Internet of Things and artificial intelligence and machine learning, the attacks are going to be much more sophisticated. And obviously, the as an organization, we need to gear up and make sure that we stand against those kind of attacks. For example, denial of service was there about a decade back, which was like there were bombarding of requests to the systems that are exposed to outside world, and it will deny the genuine request. And the firewalls and the systems become smarter. And if the request is coming from one IP, it will try to block it.
Hmm.
Then the distributed denial of services come into the picture and they become much more smarter, and the firewalls need to become smarter again. Now,
Yeah.
what happens is with artificial intelligence and machine learning, there will be a AI-driven, cyber threats that will be coming into the
It's
picture.
like it's cat and mouse.
Bad
And now
mouse,
you're using
absolutely.
AI. You're using AI to be the threat, and then you're using AI to fight the threat. You're having a
Right,
one big AI battle.
right,
It's
absolutely. It's a cat and mouse game, and we need to be ahead of it. If
yep.
we have to keep our organizational data and information secured, we need to definitely one step ahead of them.
Yeah, we definitely, and the way that some of the reports that I've seen so far, with how some organizations have implemented LLMs into their business processes that handle certain sensitive functions, and attackers are using and abusing this to gain the LLM into giving them access into the some of the sensitive data they shouldn't have access to, or to perform certain business actions. And it's just mind-boggling to think that now you're just telling the
Absolutely.
system, hey, do this bad thing for me and give it back to me, and it automatically goes and does it for them. It's
Right, right, right.
it's like now you have to really make sure that you're putting in security earlier in that development life cycle. And I'm sure you would agree, shifting left is really where we're going to catch these things more proactively instead of reactively later down the line.
Right. Another interesting thing that I would mention is people can inject bias and also some kind of a positive, false positives into the LLM
Hmm.
from outside, and these systems are going to become more and more critical in taking decisions. And if somebody can, inject these kind of bias and false positives,
Hmm.
it'll very well make the system to take a wrong automated decision and take advantage of it. This is something that is going to happen with artificial intelligence and more LLMs
Hmm.
playing critical role in taking important decisions.
I definitely can agree with that. Another question that just came to mind is, what's your take on AI and LLM governance? Do you feel that we should have some sort of legislation at a federal level to mandate how companies should go about designing and keep making sure that they're making these AIs as secure as possible, and thinking about the ramifications to human life when developing these AIs? What's your take on that?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question. Um, I would say definitely a government control and a policy control and compliance is required, but that should be minimal. Because
Hmm.
here, what we are looking at is the human spirit for innovation, and
Hmm.
the more liberty that people have, they will become more innovative.
Hmm.
So definitely, that doesn't mean that people just go and utilize the nuclear energy the way they want.
Yeah.
It should be used only to make the life of the mankind better, not for destroying cities or destroying people. So the AI is also very powerful. So
Hmm.
definitely there should be some regulation, some control, and some compliance. But at the same time, it should be left open to the people to do the innovation.
Okay, and I can agree with that. Something at least is like a due diligence clause. Just saying, hey, you need to be doing your due diligence and showcase. We're not going to tell you exactly how to do it, but you need to be thinking about the ramifications of the innovation that you are putting out there. Could it could it be present an existential crisis to humanity? Things along those lines. Like, your AI should be able to give someone the exact instructions to go and do something malicious, right? There should be some type of controls in place, to try to prevent that. And what we're seeing these days too is the prompt injection. It's getting pretty nasty. It's like, I don't know how, even at that point, how some of these how some of these companies are going to be able to fix these things retroactively without going back to the data sets that it was trained on. And
True, true. You're right. The companies are trying to put rail guards, and some kind of controls to see that it doesn't do or it doesn't give anything, I would say, toxic to the
Hmm.
people. It should only help the people to get more and more information and useful to make their life better, not
Hmm.
make their lives worse. But with all said and done, like internet has brought its own set of good and bad.
That's
Similarly,
true.
the search engines, you search for bad things, you get bad things in your search result. You want to utilize the technology for better, it will help your life better. So the AI is going to be the same way. Probably the scale may be different. So the controls need to be much more, I would say, stronger in those
Hmm.
areas which are going to create damage to the mankind.
Okay, that's fair enough. And you know what? I honestly, I didn't even I didn't have that frame of reference. It is just like a search engine in a sense. It's just something that's now a little bit more autonomous and just giving you the information. And just like with the search engine, like you said, you search for something bad, you're gonna get bad stuff. You know, and it's the same way with any of these LLMs that you're using. And companies can put certain guardrails around, but I get it. It's a cat and mouse challenge.
Right.
Oh, well, that's awesome. That's awesome. I guess we'll get into some mindset and leadership type questions. How do you approach building a security conscious team and culture?
Yeah, that is a very good question. And most important, as I was mentioning, the most important thing in the cybersecurity that we do, the spectrum of things, end user training and making sure that end users are part of this process is very, very important.
Hmm.
And one is we should have a very robust and effective cybersecurity training. And also, we can have in the organization cybersecurity champions. In fact, everybody should be a champion for that. And we can have a awards and recognition program for cybersecurity. And also, every employee should be aware that when there is an incident happening or when they find a deviation from the cybersecurity policy, what is their standard procedure? What is that they need to do?
Hmm.
And also, the leadership need to live by an example. Leadership should not be taking shortcuts and take it easy. And that gives a wrong example and sets a wrong precedence, and entire company follows it. So the
Yep.
leadership also need to live by an example, and also a periodic training and also a custom and role specific security training is also important for making sure that in general everybody is aware of their cyber security responsibilities and information security, but a role specific training is also equally important, and this entire training process need to be part of the company culture. It should not be looked at something as an addition or a necessary, kind of an evil,
Hmm.
but it should be considered information security and cyber security should be considered as part of the company's culture and the company's working. And the procedures also need to be very simple and easy for the employees to follow. And that's why taking the end user buy-in while we are putting the security policies and ensuring that the cybersecurity and the procedures are aligned with the employees working and their mindset. So that is also important. And also, wherever possible, the security tasks need to be automated. That way, the employee won't get burdened or the end user won't get burdened by doing those tasks.
Yep, yep. And that's one of the biggest things I see a lot of organizations that they're drowning in a lot of toil from outdated business processes that either had some turnover where there's not the no knowledge transfer that can be automated and they're wasting time having employees having to retrain, get back into learning the system, and then they're just doing things manually. Whereas if you're
Right.
able to, work some magic with some Python, plug into an API, figure out how could you automate that business process, you're getting left behind, especially when it comes to with these attackers. The amount of data that you have to process, we have to be thinking at a very high level on how can we tackle these problems as efficient as possible. Because you got to get the most ROI
Absolutely.
out of your team. You only have limited resources. So,
Oh, yes. That is another challenge for the technology department is having a limited budget and
mhm,
ensuring one side on the compliance and second we have a scarcity of resources and third we have compliance and as well as very penal high level of penalties if there is any breach and the
mhm.
company's reputation. So all these things are actually putting a lot of challenges to the technology and the cybersecurity department.
What's one piece of advice that you would give to other security leaders?
You mean to the companies or?
Yeah, to other security leaders, other CTOs, CISOs, to help them out with the security issues that they're tackling.
Uh, I would say that they need to look at a spectrum of things. One is the cybersecurity landscape, how it is changing, and the leaders in that area need to look at the cybersecurity landscape and also the threats that would be emerging from new technologies that are coming into the market. And also, each day there are new threats that are coming.
Mhm,
So, having a cybersecurity intelligence. Let me elaborate this little bit. When I say that cybersecurity intelligence, there should be a system where both from external data and internal data, the raw data need to be analyzed, and also an actionable items should be able to generate actionable intelligence need to be generated out of it. Besides whatever I talked about, having a robust incident management system and very strong systems that are there which are exposed to public domain and would be able to withstand these kind of attacks with hardening and also with standard procedures and incident management and user training. With
mhm.
all this, um, always the cyber security department need to be abreast with whatever is happening in the market and the emerging threats that are coming out and ensuring that they are one step ahead of that.
Yeah, and how do you stay up to date with all these latest these changes that are happening within the landscape? You got any podcasts or columns or that you're reading and that you're subscribed to?
Yeah, it is a mix of all. We can use the technology to, guard against these kind of emerging threats. So one a great place is internet, and also we can, get into a lot of technology forums and discussions and all the specialists talking about the kind of challenges and the new things that they found.
Hmm.
And also, the cyber intelligence that gives, for example, what's happening with our public facing systems like our firewalls, our servers, and all that. These logs, if we collate and look at it and analyze, we'll get a lot of information, the kind of threats that we are getting. For example, we don't have a customer in China, but there are a lot of requests coming from China
Hmm.
that immediately raises a red flag that what's happening here. Why are we getting? If it is happening once in a while, that's okay. Somebody might have just accidentally gone to our system and trying to log in. But if there are continuously requests coming, then it should raise an alarm. Similarly, we should be able to collate all this data at one single location and data mine and bring out an actionable items out of it. So that is internally looking at what's happening. And second is actually looking at getting into different technical forums and blogs and connecting with the leaders in the area and understanding what they are saying and also different ways of collecting this outside information. So these two things will help us to keep ourselves abreast with the things that are happening in the market.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, you definitely need to make sure if you need to be collecting intelligence on where your people are signing in from, because if you notice some traffic originating from a country that you don't do business with or have any customers with or should have any business justification, you should be looking
Absolutely.
into that, right? You want to make sure that there's nothing sketchy going on there.
Right.
So let's kind of switch gears and go into a little bit more career advice and trends. What advice would you give someone just starting out in their journey, getting trying to break into the field?
Yeah, definitely. I think their technology base need to be strong. They need to understand the technology well. And one that is a good starting point for anybody who wants to get into this space. And after that, pick up a mentor who will be able to help and do the hand holding. It could be
Hmm.
your immediate boss, or it could be your friend, or it could be anybody, any industry expert.
Hmm.
And take interest in what's happening, the work that they are doing. And that is a good starting point for them to learn. And always challenge yourself that what is that I can do better and what is that I can automate
Yep.
and how technology can help me. I'm generating this report every day. Can technology help me to automate it?
Yep.
So don't be shy and say that, oh my God, if the tool is going to take away, then my job may be a threat. It actually helps you to move up in the value chain.
Exactly, exactly. It's all about how you approach it and just ignoring it and not trying to leverage it in a secure way. It's just going to lead, it's going to get you left behind by those who are, and it's going to show in the productivity and all different types of deliverables.
Right.
I can definitely resonate with that. What do you think are the most important skills, though, that any professional should develop in this security space?
Most important skills, definitely, they need to have a strong technology base.
Hmm.
Especially in technology, it thrives on the individual capabilities and individual skill levels and need to be a good team player. Obviously, one cannot do everything in the organization, be it cybersecurity or be it compliance or be it cyber intelligence, anything. So need to
Hmm.
be a good team player and should know how to collaborate and communicate and also look at always new and emerging technologies and how these are going to impact the current domain that they are working in. I think these kind of things would definitely help to allow them to grow in the area that they are working,
Hmm.
and also it helps to improve even the organizational goals.
Fair enough. Fair enough. And there are any of these do you are there any trends or emerging technologies that you believe will shape the future? And if like for me, it's AI. It's like it that just hands down. Like I know in 50 years we will be in a society that we should reach AGI. We should reach AGI, and that's crazy to think about.
No, Cedric, what you said is right. AI and ML, we are living in a we are in fact witnessing a very interesting time.
Mhm.
And it is one of the revolutionary thing happening in the technology space. But also the blockchain is going
Yeah.
to become very powerful, and
Mhm.
it is a double-edged sword. It will
Mhm.
help in terms of it depends on how we use the technology. For that matter, any technology.
Mhm.
So blockchain is going to authenticate and also tell what are all the facts, how things are, and those facts won't change over time. So, if we want to validate the available information, blockchain is one technology that will help.
Yeah.
And another emerging technology is Internet of Things, the IoT.
Mhm.
That creates threats as well as opportunities because in the cybersecurity space, the ability to collect more information will increase. The ability to automate the
Mhm.
security tasks also will be helpful,
Mhm.
and also we will get these emerging technology supported security tools that will come into the market. But on the other side, we have threats where our threat area will increase. In the
Yep.
IoT things, if it is just one area which are our publicly facing systems, it will increase exponentially. And
Yep.
also the kind of the threats that we haven't seen will be there, and also AI-driven and these emerging technology-driven cybersecurity threats will come in. We haven't got in so far that a AI-driven cybersecurity attack has not happened, but very soon we'll hear that. And the only way to counter is we need to have tools that will be smart enough to understand and outsmart that system.
Yep. I can definitely agree with that. You know, with the IoT. just you got manufacturers putting everything on the internet. You got refrigerators going on the internet, stoves going on the internet,
Right.
vacuums going on the internet. Some of these stories that I've been seeing about some of these devices. And I've got a few devices here up on my lab up over here. I do a lot of IoT hacking myself. Just it's crazy the amount of different easy vulnerabilities that can be exploited from the web services and APIs that are running locally on the device or that they're reaching out to. It's just and reverse engineering. And you would think, before I got into hacking IoT devices, it's like it seems like it might be real complicated. But then you realize you start reviewing your first couple printed circuit boards. You're looking at some data sheets, and you realize the key is here. You just got to look for it, and you could reverse engineer. And if you didn't implement security into that development lifecycle of that IoT device, it's most likely Swiss cheese, and that's what I've seen of most devices that I've assessed.
Right, Cedric.
But
That the technology is changing and it is continuously evolving, and the challenges are becoming more and also more sophisticated.
yeah, well, those are some great points. I have one last question we can wrap up with. What's a tech myth or misconception you've heard that's always made you laugh?
Oh, yeah, very good question. And I think you asked a very good and uh, good question, in fact, is when I looked at in 80s, 1980s in India, there was a misconception that if a country like India go for computerization, there will be loss of jobs.
Hmm.
But today, look at the number of jobs that they have today just by computerization.
Yep.
And similarly, people are talking about loss of jobs because AI and ML.
Hmm.
It is actually going to make certain jobs redundant. I agree, some
Yep.
low end jobs, but it will create a different kind of jobs. In 2000, we never had of a role called data entry. Today it is there, and tomorrow it may not be there, but there will be a data labeling role where the data need to be labeled for
Hmm.
the LLM to work.
Yep.
Similarly, there will be uh, chief data security officer, data officer. Chief data officer is today not there in the market, but soon it will be there.
Yep.
So there will be new roles that will get created. The very funny thing that I heard is that AI and ML is going to take away a lot of jobs. It actually take away some jobs, but it will create more jobs.
Yep, and I can definitely agree with that. And the conversations that I've had with colleagues and family and friends, it's been the same. I've had because I've had people who were personally affected by some of the innovation, with AI being implemented into certain business processes, and they've had to find ways to pivot into other areas for work. But as much as the jobs that we're losing, I think that we'll gain more because we'll see the return on investment from these companies' productivity that they'll be able to invest, hopefully, back into their people to continue prospering, to continue growing. So I see it. It is a double edged sword. It's going to take away some opportunities, but it's going to provide much more.
Yeah, they just need to reorient and learn some new skills.
Hmm.
That's it. And I can tell very confidently that the computers cannot beat human brain
Hmm.
in at least by end till the end of 21st century. So
Yeah.
it's going to
Uh,
be there.
it's
Human
just,
mind is a very, very sophisticated and a very advanced machine.
Exactly. And if you think about it, we are the ones that are training up this LLM mind.
Exactly.
It needs us. It needs to be tailored.
It needs
There's
us.
always the chance for hallucinations or something to go wrong, and it's going to need that human judgment to be there to correct it and to
Absolutely.
refine it and refactor. But it's been great talking with you today, Murthy. I hope that we get to link up for more discussions. But thank you so much for sharing your incredible insights and experiences with us today. It's been a pleasure. For our listeners, you can find Murthy on LinkedIn. Don't forget to subscribe to the CNL podcast for more conversations with IT and security leaders. Until next time, stay safe and stay secure.
Absolutely, Cedric. It's a pleasure to be here and talk to you, and look forward to have such kind of podcasts.
All right. That's
Thank you.
awesome. You have a
Bye bye.
great day.